I do want to jump right into this one, if that's all right with you, because this is a kind of a hot topic right now, and we got two calls that are similar, and I want to try to squish them together.
Yeah, let's hit it.
So to begin with, we are actually going to take a call from an atheist, which is usually not how we like to do things, but we want to give priority to atheist calls, but this is important for today. We've got Damien, pronouns he, him, from Washington, wanting to know how to talk about being an atheist with their religious family. Damien, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm fantastic, dude. So tell me a little bit about, like, particularly what you're talking about and you know, what you're going through. Like, why'd you call?
Okay, first I want to thank you for taking my call. And second is I'm an atheist. I grew up with my family being religious. A lot of people in my family still are religious. And when it comes to broaching the subject, like, for instance, at Thanksgiving, they all want to pray. And I don't want to take part. Or like my mother, she keeps asking, can you just come to church with me and things like that. And I try to explain to them that I'm an atheist, and whenever I do, they seem like I'm making an attack on them, or in reality, they say things that I'm doing wrong, and I feel like I'm being broached. I don't really have a good way to maybe try to help them understand my perspective where I'm coming from, because I would never try to tell them not to believe in what they believe in. I just want them to understand why I feel the way I do. I can't help how I feel. Like, it'd be a lot easier to believe in God and knowing that I'm not going to hell. Like, who would choose that purposely? I can't help what I believe. So I was trying to find ways to help them understand, or if you guys had to go through the same thing or experience you can have that can help me out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think the biggest thing to remember is that, like, when you're talking about your family, they're coming from a position of love. They do believe in these things, which, you know, I agree are atrocious, horrible things to believe in. But, like, they believe it, and they don't want to see you hurt. They don't want to see you tortured. They don't want to see you lost. They want you to have the best, you know, whatever perpetual existence they believe in possible. So I would recommend, first of all, trying to approach the conversation with the same compassion that they perceive that they are coming to you with. As much as I think, and I've said several times before, that saying things like Jesus loves you and things like that, I think those are horrible things to say. But to them, that's a very nice thing. It's trying to remind you that you have this eternity and all this. So, like, I think, you know, remembering that they're not necessarily trying to hurt you, and trying to come at them from that position, like, listen, I'm trying to make a connection. That's a huge, really important place to start. But also, don't let yourself then take that line of thinking and say, okay, well, then they can get away with anything. Like, you also have to have a boundary. You have to have compassion for yourself as well. And you have to be able to tell them, like, you know, I'm trying to give you as much leeway in the world here because I know you love me and I know I love you. But at the end of the day, I am who I am, and you're going to have to learn to either love me for that or not. And that I'm not going to sit here and, you know, allow myself to be uncomfortable or abused or whatever, or ignored or looked over or whatever, just for the sake of your beliefs. Does that make sense?
It does, and that's very helpful, because that's kind of like it is. Like I say, like, my mother, she'd ask, and I tell her, and they'll keep going, like, well, I'm just trying to save your soul, things like that. It's like, you guys don't understand that you're being disrespectful towards me. There's only so much that I can take.
Yeah. When you try to frame this conversation around right and wrong, like what is and is not okay, you know, in their mind, like, it's right for a child to go to church with their family. That feels natural. That feels normal. Obviously, for you, that's going to have a very different consequence, a very different meaning. And so I'd encourage you to kind of step away from, well, this is what we should do, and this is what's right, and this is what's fair, and instead frame this around your needs. You know, lots of people who have come out of religion can feel kind of triggered, frustrated, hurt, traumatized in a lot of ways by just simply walking into a church or hearing some of that Christianese, that Jesus loves you kind of stuff. And if that impacts you, it's okay to be vulnerable about that. You don't have to justify it or explain it or go into all this, you know, personal detail about your experience, depending on the conversation. But it is okay to say, no, when you do this thing, you might think that you're having this impact, but you're actually doing something completely different to me. And me as an individual is just asking you to treat me differently. Treat me in these ways that work for me rather than what you think is right or just or Christian or good.
Yeah, and that's so important when talking about, like, any argument or disagreement between people who love each other is, you know, we like to pretend that somebody's going to win the argument in our heads. But at the end of the day, if you're saying I'm going to win this discussion, you are also simultaneously then saying this other person that I love is going to lose. And so, like, having that compassion and saying like, you know, I understand that you don't want to hurt me. I need you to understand that I don't want to hurt you. These are things that we are almost certainly never going to see eye to eye on. However, from our, like, there is a way to do this where both of our frameworks are respected. If they really want you to come to church, then they need to understand the amount of stress and pain and discomfort that would cause you. And if they still want you to come to church after all that, maybe that's something for them to think about. You know, if I tell my wife, I really want you to get a tattoo, it would be so great for me. I would love for you to get a tattoo. And she's like, I don't want to be in pain. I'm allergic to the ink. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't ever want to do that. That's the rest of my life. Then for me to continue pushing would kind of make me a jerk, right? And so for you to say, hey, I'm going to have this response to this thing, when I hear this, like Christy was saying, you know, this is a very upsetting thing for me. This is something that I really don't feel comfortable with. I don't like. For you to continue pushing on me now, you're telling me that my comfort matters less than yours. And that's not how, you know, people who love each other should act. And also, like, on top of that, the reason why I won't participate in like group prayer or something like that, even if someone invites me to their home, or if I'm in a church, or if I'm at, you know, a dinner or whatever with people who believe in these things, if they want to say grace or whatever, I'm certainly not going to stop them. I'm not going to talk over them or anything like that, but I'm not going to participate. And it's number one, because, you know, I have to think about my comfort as well. I find this concept to be really hateful, and I don't want to be a part of it. And also, how shitty of me to put myself into their thing that's very sacred to them, knowing that I don't want to be a part of it. That seems to me like I would be sullying their thing, you know what I mean? So there's a few reasons that you shouldn't be involved. And I don't think any of those have to be overly confrontational. It can all come from a position of compassion, just so long as they're willing to meet you in the middle. You know what I mean?
I do. And I won't take up no more of you guys' time. Forrest, Christy, I watch you guys all the time. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
This is very helpful. You know, I'm going through these things and trying to work on things. I worked on my mental health. I finally went to see a therapist, and I got some medication. You know, I was worried about the stigma of that. So there's things in my life that I'm trying to get better for me, and part of this could be helpful with this talking to my family, because that's one of the things that makes me not want to be around them.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And first of all, congratulations on going to therapy and getting the medication, the help that you need. That's immensely important. And you're right, there is a stigma around it, which is stupid. It's like having a stigma around cancer. Go get the help that you need, bro. Like that's
Right.
So congratulations and good on you for having the cojones to take that step. And yeah, man, there's a lot of people who just go full no contact with their family because it just doesn't work out. And there's a lot of people who are able to find the middle ground and bridge that gap. So for you to have the the emotional awareness and the will and the drive and everything to bridge that gap and to talk to them about it, as painful as a conversation as you know it could be for both parties, I think that alone, hopefully, should show some serious commitment on your part and some you know, real resolve to be an active member of the family, you know?
Right. So like I said, I don't want to say this again. I don't want to take too much more of your time. I don't want to fanboy, because I feel like it's awesome talking to you both. I see you all the time on YouTube, so it's like I know you.
Hey, we appreciate it.
Yeah,
and,
thank you so much.
I want to just add to that list of things that you've been doing for yourself and taking care of yourself, reaching out to your community. You know, there are other atheists who are going through these exact same problems. So thank you for sharing your experience with us, and best of luck. Being in community is a powerful part of handling these kind of situations. So during the holidays and everything else, reach out where you need to.
Well, you guys have a great day, and I can turn you guys back up now.
Thank
Hey,
you so
take
much,
care.
Damien. You're awesome. Thanks so much for being here today.